all art.
That's just a trash can.
It's just a trash can. Yeah.
We've got a real special episode today, folks. So just how do you go from this to this? Or from this rough concept to this fleshed out, finished sculpture?
Welcome to Light a Fire Studio. I'm lead artist and creator of Light a Fire, Frederick Dorfels. The following multi-part series was designed as a sort of how-to guide to making art. We'll explore conceptualizing, planning, and finally making a finished work of sculpture. So stick around for the ride.
Yep, folks, that's me. I think I was probably about 18. I started taking art seriously when I was probably 15 or so, and I had a great ceramic teacher who said, "You know, kid, you could do this for a living." So that's what I set out to do. I got a bachelor's degree in studio ceramics, and I'd been making ceramics for about 25 years now. Needless to say, coming back and forth, going in and out of loving it and hating it, it's a wonderful career if it's something you're passionate about. But in today's ready-made plastic world, it can also be a bit of a struggle. So to those who try, we salute you. The concept of the starving artist is something we should all try to put a stop to. No one should have to starve to do what they love. But you know what? It's not all fun and games. Sometimes you gotta make some cheddar. So I've also spent just as long of my career working in the commercial and private sector with other artists, other creatives, other studios, helping them realize their ideas as well. And it's good work if you can get it. But my real true love lies in making sculpture, for public or private. Collaborating with other artists, to do public commissions, or just doing my own thing. I love making sculpture. I hope to make it till the day I die.
So now that we're a bit better acquainted, I think you can understand why I wanted to make these videos in the first place, and why I like making videos in general. It helps you get your ideas out there and kind of formulate thoughts and plans and strategies for making things. And since I was going to make this sculpture anyway, I thought it'd be nice while doing this series that we actually make something.
Well, here's the general idea. Let's see if we can make it happen.
You know, and that leads to the big question here. When you're getting started, where do ideas come from?
Everybody treats creativity like it's a light bulb going off or some sort of magical lightning strike that hits. But in all reality, a lot of ideas come from very commonplace things, like nature. For me, anyway, I'm very much inspired by nature. Sometimes it's just a place or a memory or a thing, and that elicits a response in you that you have to strike out and create something in its image or in homage of it. Maybe a bustling city or tools or industrialization is more your thing. It doesn't matter where inspiration comes from. It just means that it's important to you. And then again, maybe exploring your dark side is more what it's about. Digging deep, reflecting on your life, traumas, depression, These are all things that have created some great art throughout the years. I'm not saying that's my avenue, but if that works for you, go with it. And if you still can't get inspired, grab a book and a comfy chair or go online. Here are a few of my favorites. Isamu Noguchi. He was a master of form and material, inspiring a lot of 20th century design and artists. Because of his heritage, he was split between American and Japanese influences. Through this, he merged both Eastern and Western aesthetics beautifully. The Mexican muralists of the 20th century. If you want to truly appreciate the anatomy of sketching and composition, the work of these artists is a great place to start. Some of these murals are as big as buildings. Barbara Hepworth. When it comes to the world of 20th century sculpture, Barbara Hepworth is a name you don't hear often enough. With her style and choices of material, she holds a very special place in my heart. Henry Moore, a contemporary and friend of Hepworth's, his work was monumental in scale and scope. It's just my opinion, but I feel like he gave abstract sculpture a household name, and he was a prolific sketch artist. Finally, Rembrandt van Rijn. When all else fails, there's nothing more inspiring than the classics. We can all learn a thing or two from Rembrandt.
You may have already gathered that I consider myself more of an abstract artist, or at least non-objective. I take inspiration from the world around me, but I'm not looking or interested in copying it outright. It's doable, and I applaud those people who are amazing at it, or anyone who tries for that matter. Bravo. But that's not what I'm trying to do in my work. So you might be wondering where I got the inspiration for this idea. And, it's pretty pedestrian. I saw a similar shape on an advertisement or something, some billboard or a bottle label or something it was. And I just thought, oh, that's kind of cool. It kind of bird-like, kind of Brancusi in a way. And I just thought, well, I made it my own after I was inspired by the idea. I gave it its own life. And then I thought, what would that look like in a three-dimensional reality? So I turned it around in my mind and I gave it some depth so that it would punch out a little bit and some more curves. And it's as simple as that.
This leads to the first bit of hard work. The best place to start is by sketching. And everybody says, oh, I couldn't even draw a stick figure. Well, I don't believe that. I think anybody can draw, if they only try. I mean, we all started out drawing as kids. It's just human nature. Just get something down on paper. It doesn't even have to be good. Just do it. When I was in my early 20s, I lived in Seattle and worked at the Seattle Art Museum as a guard. And in an 8-hour shift, we had 4 15-minute breaks. So I'd quadrant up a piece of paper, and every 15-minute break, I'd do a drawing. It was all about repetition, pattern, just doing it, coming up with a practice. It didn't matter if they were good. It just mattered that I was sketching. I thought it might be nice to see the anatomy of a sketch. So I put this little example together just to give you an idea of how easy it can be if you just try. There are no mistakes. I always just like to let one line follow the other. If I don't like it, I might erase it, but most of the time I try to draw over it. Don't worry about accuracy. You don't ever even have to show this to anybody. But you know what? It should be fun. You should enjoy this process. And when you're done, hopefully you have something you can be proud of. Once you have your idea and a decent blueprint, it's time for part 2, modeling. Yes, folks, that is a pizza box. I find that cardboard is a great modeling material. It's readily available, and if you mess up, There's plenty in the rubbish bin or the recycling. So just start over. Some other great modeling materials include, but are not limited to, clay, water or oil-based. Both are great. Found objects, just things around the house. Wood. It's a great, fun material to work with. Just ask anybody who works in wood. Or maybe you work in fabric or have fabric lying around. Paper, construction paper. If you got kids, you definitely have construction paper. And of course, plastic. Possibilities are limitless. After much taping, we have proof of concept. Yeah, doesn't look bad. Doesn't look great. I mean, come on, it's made of garbage. Doesn't have to look great. But it does prove that it's possible. Well, we've come this far, and now we've got a shape. And we know that it's possible, that this thing can exist in the real world. So that leads to our last and final step for part 1. Step 3. How big do you want this thing to be? And yeah, you kind of have to go back to prototyping. I think we can go bigger, Freddy. That's more like it. Well, folks, that pretty much wraps it up for part 1 of this 3-part series. But before you go, let's just go over the 3 basics we covered here. Step 1. Figure out what inspires you and lean in on it. Step 2. Sketch it out however you can. And finally, step 3. Size it up. Decide how you want it to look. We hope you enjoyed part 1 of this 3-part series. And with everything we learned here, in part 2, we'll put it into practice, implementation, and fabrication. If you want to be sure not to miss, keep checking back to the channel or subscribe and turn on the notification button. And as always, thank you for watching.